and this is my genuine opinion, it's very interesting to see how all of you guys are perceiving this. Like everyone who spoke on it and said that she's bullying or she's being the aggressor or she should have just stayed quiet. It's very interesting to me to hear you guys say that, especially when we all the same color. And I say that because it took the troublemakers, it took the people that were going to speak up when nobody else wanted to speak up for us to be in the position now that we are.
Bro.
And we have to be cognizant of how we criticize other people who are standing up for what's right in our community. We have to back them, especially when it comes to Black women. Now, there is a possibility that she could have been chasing clout, but my initial thought when I seen the clip was, oh, she's trying to bring awareness to a situation that we know is troublesome in our culture in the United States. We know that it exists. And yes, everyone has the right to feel how they feel, but we have to, I don't think it's anything wrong with speaking up about things like that. And I think that we need to be more supportive when people do it. Because one of the main problems is in our community is we don't stick together. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Um, I want to respond to that because I think you said something that was contradictory to me, which is the idea of she's trying to bring awareness to something that we all know exists, right? So you said she's trying to bring awareness to something, but you said we all know it exists. We know racism exists in America. She wasn't bringing awareness. She wasn't speaking about a right or a wrong because there was no wrong done to her. That girl was speaking freely to her friends or whoever, to her circle of people who accept her for who she is. So if that white girl's a racist and her friends and family are racist, she was expressing herself amongst the appropriate crowd, which was her circle. That girl had no business in that girl's phone to begin with. I could understand what you're saying as far as her bringing awareness if she was directly disrespected or if she was directly spoken to in a certain way or called a certain name, because then that would mean that she was attacked. You know what I mean? Like her right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was somehow obstructed, right? But nobody stopped her from doing anything that was in her right to do. They didn't stop her from sitting where she wanted to sit. They didn't stop her from going to the school she chose to go to, even though she knew it was a predominantly white institution and knew that these were challenges she would face. She still chose to go there freely. No, like nobody made her go to that school. She still chose to go to class. She still chose to sit up front, admittedly of her own choice, because she literally said, I usually sit in the back and don't say anything in class. So she chose to put herself in a tight space amongst students she didn't know, that she had no understanding of how they would perceive her, as a woman who had already said that she had experienced racism and already was worried about racism. So to me, I don't understand how she was standing up for right. She put herself in an uncomfortable place. She went and looked at something that she had no business looking at and saw something that she didn't like, that didn't pertain to her at all. If she didn't like it, she could have literally just moved over another seat. She could have literally just not sat near the white girl and chose you and said, you know what? Now that I know that this white girl's a racist, I won't be communicating with her throughout the school year. But to try to bring awareness or embarrass someone for being racist, supposedly, I don't think that's any more different than someone trying to embarrass you for being black or someone trying to embarrass somebody else for being gay. Essentially, you're embarrassing someone for being different than you. But if that person's not encroaching upon your space, there's no reason to do that. Right. So if you're not gay and somebody doesn't try to touch you, there's no reason to have anything to say about their gayness. It's none of your damn business. So I hear what you're saying about sticking together, but in this particular situation, this woman wasn't wronged. She was actually wrong for putting her nose where it didn't belong. If I was to open up your phone and then be like, yeah, I don't like what you said to your sister, that wouldn't make no sense. So I'm gonna land there.
Okay, let me give you a little bit more clarity. She spoke on how white people use microaggressions. They're not very direct, okay? So she described the experience before she even seen what was going on the laptop. She described how the white girl was trying to make her feel uncomfortable for sitting in the front. My thing is she should feel safe and comfortable in the environment. It does not have to be physical violence for it to be a threat. Okay?
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
That racism is very violent, and it makes and like she said, she should have the right to sit in the front of the class if she wanted to. She shouldn't be bound to the back of the class because that's where she sat for the 2 or 3 weeks prior to that. She should be able to sit comfortably to learn in any seat in the class.
True, I agree with you.
I'm not finished. It's not like she was intentionally looking for racism. The girl's laptop was open, and just like if you're next to a friend or you're next to your girl, and you happen to look over and you see something, in my opinion, I don't see how she was wrong for speaking on that. Like I said, it's comfortable, it's violent, and she should have brought awareness to it. And like, maybe my language was contradicting, but my point isn't. We do know that racism exists, but that does not mean that we're supposed to be submissive to it.
I don't think that has anything to do with being submissive to racism. There were a lot of assumptions made to begin with. Like, for example, we're making the assumption that there were microaggressions made to her based on her race. Hold on, let me finish before you run. Hold on. You said that she described the scenario, and when she described the scenario, she said that she was uncomfortable. But her being uncomfortable is not proof that a person tried to make you uncomfortable based off of your race. That's an assumption she made because she doesn't because she's in a predominantly white institute and she doesn't identify with the people around her. That's an assumption that she made. But then she also described that she's not a person who normally sits in the front. So what I'm saying is that why are we making the assumption that the reason why she was uncomfortable in the front was because the white people didn't like her? They didn't say nothing to her. Why is it that she wasn't uncomfortable in the front? Because that's not where she normally sits. She made it clear that her reason for sitting in the front was to be a quote unquote good student. What would that imply? That would imply that normally she's not a good student. Normally she's not an active student. So obviously she was stepping out of her comfort zone. So you can't take a step out of your comfort zone, feel uncomfortable, and then blame the people in the zone that you stepped into for you feeling uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable because you're stepping out of your own comfort zone, and that's fine. But there's no evidence. Hold on. There's no evidence that the reason she felt uncomfortable is because they had any problem with her blackness. The only time she knows of any problem with her blackness is when she was looking at that girl's laptop, which also wasn't her business. So sure, I will agree with you. What was on the laptop was racist. Sure, the white girl probably shouldn't have done it. But personally, if it was me, I'm not looking in your laptop to begin with. Yeah, you're not my friend. I don't know you. Why am I looking at what's going on in your screen? Why am I so emotionally moved by your feelings and your opinions? Why do I care if you're racist? I don't know you. Why do I care? And hold on. Let me just, I'm gonna land in a second, but that's one of the issues I have with girls like her. You don't have a reason to care about someone being racist, but you're choosing to put yourself in white spaces and choosing to care about their racism when it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. Sit where you want to sit and mind your damn business and just look at your own laptop and do what you went there to do, which is focus on school and get your education. Period.
Okay, like I said, the girl said that the white girl that tried to sit next to her basically were passively aggressively telling her, okay, this is my space. Why are you here? She put the shit on top of, she said she literally almost put her stuff on top of mine. That was the first thing. The second thing she said was, why do you have your laptop open, texting in a group text about monkeys and cotton pickers with a black person next to you? It seems very deliberate to me.
Sure. Let me get Cookie in there. Hold on, let me get Cookie in there, y'all. Go ahead, Cookie.
It is deliberate because they're racist. Let's just put that out there. But she still had to look over. And her laptop was out because if you have an iPad, which 99.9999% of college students do, you can the phones, and your professor says no phones. That's how they receive their text on their laptop. That's one. Two, I'm calling cap on the whole situation. I think that the girl found out about the group chat first. And then, since we are making assumptions here, let's assume this is what I think happened, because I know females like her. She found out about the group chat first before any of this popped off. She put herself in their space just to see what was popping down there and to see if they really racist. Because she, like he said, what was her reason for being in the back? Because she just wanted to be a good student. So all of a sudden, you woke up this morning and wanted to be a good student. That said, no college student ever, right? So I think she knew about the chat, went down there, instigated, was snooping into the computer, looking over there to see what they was doing, found out that it was true, tried to blow it up, and now trying to get all these kids in trouble. Whatever. But my whole thing about it is, sis, nobody attacked you, and this is coming from a former child that did not choose to be in a predominantly white high school or institution. My parents moved to the suburbs. It was 8 black kids in my high school. Everybody else was white. We had some Asians, but it was like 95% white. And when you go looking for stuff, it's like searching through your man phone trying to see if he's cheating. You're probably gonna find an inbox or two where a girl was flirting, and you're gonna probably blame him.
She
That's
never.
how. No, I'm saying she was looking. She was. Microaggressions happen every day. Microaggressions happen between black people and black people. So my thing is, what was her motive? And this to record everything and make everything, blow it up and get followers and get popularity. So
I'd like
she'll
to
have her.
add something if I could.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I please excuse, I haven't seen the whole video. I'm just trying to bring everything together. But I definitely agree with this young lady. Is definitely a microaggression. And just working in corporate as a Black woman, I'm very familiar with microaggressions and how erosive they are, and how they can just slowly eat away at you. Um, so I don't know her motives, but I can't speak to her intent, but what I can speak to is the impact. Impact is always going to trump intent. And in my opinion, if you're a student, it doesn't matter if it was something private. It shouldn't happen. And if they're at this age, at this impressionable age, they need to understand the difference between right and wrong. Covert or overt racism is not okay. And this was definitely covert racism. It's very subtle, it's very quiet. I'm sure she sits in the back because she doesn't feel welcomed. We have to also consider that. I'm
And the
sure
school
there
she
are a
chose.
lot of things that she feels that maybe she didn't actually have tangible shit that she could put her hands on, why she has isolated herself or separated herself. And I just feel empathy for her more than anything, just as another Black woman and as a little Black girl at one point being in those situations and scenarios. Like, my heart goes out to her.
I'm sorry, but I'm a firm believer that only microaggressions only impact insecure people. Like microaggressions to me is one of these new age rebrands of the word insecure. People who are insecure with their own racial positioning will feel aggressions.
I can finish what he was gonna say. I feel like that people that's going around looking for trouble
People who
gonna
are already
find it.
insecure.
You already insecure. Like literally grew up. I'm telling y'all, I grew up in a white high school. It was me and 2 girls. I was the only Black girl on my basketball team.
Like
They're
my thing is like this,
ignorant.
right? Like if my hair's nappy, right, and I'm proud of my nappy hair, and the nigga call my hair nappy, that's not a microaggression because I'm proud of my nappy hair. So you could, yes, nigga, it's nappy. If I'm not proud of my nappy hair and you say the word nappy, I'm gonna feel like that's a microaggression. What you mean my hair's nappy? Or what you trying to say? Or you call me black or call me dark and I'm dark skinned. If I'm not proud of my dark skin, what you mean I'm black? What you trying to say? It is what it is, bro. And problem. We got too many insecure, sensitive people running around worried about what other people think instead of worried about what's going on in their own damn brain between their 2 ears. I for the life of me cannot understand why this girl even cares. That's what we need to address. Forget whether or not racism is right or wrong or covert or overt racism, because at the end of the day, racism is always going to exist and there's nothing I can fucking do about that. Sorry, it's not going nowhere. Only thing any one of us can change is our individual reaction to things, where we stand on it. And at the end of the day, me personally, I don't got the time nor effort to be worried about what somebody else is thinking about my skin color.
Okay.
Between being called black and being called a cotton picker and a monkey. Okay. And then the other thing that you mentioned was about insecurity. The reason why racism, it's not just about what happens between your ears. Okay. We have a lot of individualism nowadays, and it's cool and it has its pros and its cons. But everything that happens, we are all affected by it. And racism affects all of us. You know what I'm saying? Whether we want to acknowledge it or we don't. So that's why it's important to keep it into mind and to also make sure that it's not so outwardly acceptable, because it can be very dangerous, as we know from history, when we're like, oh, well, we're not going to worry about what you think and what goes on with you, because what goes on in that home affects other homes in that community, and so on and so. So just putting that out there, but I'm just going to agree to disagree.
If I could, I'd like to just read some examples of microaggressions, because I don't think that people really understand. And also, before I do that, I want to say that pain is subjective. Sir Clout, what is painful to you, or not painful to you, or things that you can take, maybe somebody else can't take. And we do have to be a little bit, maybe you feel like they're being overly sensitive. There are some people on this panel that feel like you're insensitive. So everything is very subjective, and you have to be respectful to how other people are experiencing shit, you know? So just some examples of microaggressions. Failing to learn to pronounce, or continuing to mispronounce the names of students, people. We're seeing that right now with Kamala, right? People purposely going out of their way to mispronounce her name to be subtly disrespectful.
Bruh, I don't even know if her name is Kamala or Kamala. What are we talking about? Is her name
It's
Kamala or
Kamala.
Kamala?
Hold on.
It's
Let her
Kamala.
finish. Clout.
You just called her Kamala.
No,
Let her finish.
I said it to show
Wow,
you
let
how
her
people
finish.
mispronounce her name. Her name is Kamala. So another thing is scheduling tests and project due dates around religious or cultural dates, disregarding religious traditions, setting low expectations for students, for particular groups, neighbors, neighborhoods, or feeder patterns, calling on, engaging, or validating one gender, class, or race of students while ignoring the other students in the class. The list
Called
is
a
very
bias.
long. Using inappropriate humor in class that degrades students from different groups, expressing racially charged political opinions in class, assuming that the targets of these opinions do not exist in class, using the term illegals. It's just a very long list. And while
Basically
I'm
anything
sorry,
that
sir.
makes
Hold on,
somebody's
Clout.
feelings feel hurt.
I
Clout.
understand
Let her
that you're
finish.
passionate, but if you just allow me to finish. So what I'm saying is that what you may deem to be something that doesn't affect you, we have to be cognizant that there are people out here that it does affect, and we have to show respect for other people. And I just don't understand that people from marginalized group don't understand other people from marginalized group expressing this.
Listen, what you're saying makes sense when we're dealing with children, when we're dealing with people who should not be at a point where they've learned to master and control their emotions and their reactions to things. But that's not what we're talking about here. She's a college student. She's an adult. So all of that is cool. But many of the things that you described as microaggressions are literally just things you have to deal with every day. Guess what? People might mispronounce your name. It's going to happen. Guess what? Some people might not understand your religion or might not understand your culture and might get it wrong. These are things that you deal with when you live in a country like America, where everyone is from a different background, religious background, racial background, and cultural background. That is normal. You are going to bump heads and have collisions with people when there are that many differences in culture. By labeling it as microaggressions, what we do is we take away the reaction to it being our responsibility, and we somehow make it so that anytime we feel offended, it was an attack. That's not reality. Every time you feel offended, that doesn't mean that someone attacks you, and that doesn't mean that someone else is responsible for that and they need to atone for that. You're the only person that's responsible for your feelings as an adult. So even if it were true that there were microaggressions occurring, even if it were true that there were overt intentional aggressions occurring, the reality is that adults still have the responsibility of managing their emotions. So my point is that even if some people were to walk up on her and call her a monkey straight to her face, guess what? If her reaction was to bust them over the head with a bottle, guess what? She would still go to jail. And guess what? We would have another black woman in jail. No one would be saying, oh my God, these are racist, and they called her monkey. We would have a black woman in jail. So my whole point is she need to control her emotions and she need to control her eyes. You don't need to be looking in these people's phones. You don't need to be minding their business. You need to be minding your business. Continue to succeed in school as a successful Black woman. Continue to form connections with other Black students. Continue to form connections with the white students that aren't racist. And that's all you need to focus on. Why you're using your energy to focus on the students in the class that don't like you makes no sense. You're on a campus full of resources and people. Block those people out and focus on the ones that you can build with. And that's how you make a better world.
Yeah.
So the people who were
Hold
troublemakers.
on, Angela. Let me get Cookie in there because she had her hand raised, and I'll come right to you. Go ahead,
All right. So since we're talking about children, when I was 14, I was in sports, and they over this loudspeaker they'd have to announce my name. Even when I gave them the English pronunciation of my name, they would say it wrong. My name is Zamayel, right? So I'm in a country town, none but white people, and they would get my name wrong every week, every week, every week, every week. And my dad, that's why I say it goes back to being at home, just like that other situation. My dad would not allow that to upset me right before my race at the starting line. They're going to mispronounce your name. They might be doing it on purpose. So what? So what? I think if we could get out of the whiny, feel sorry for me as mindset, we may be able to rise above these so-called micro, that is a scientific word. Go look what microaggressions, that is the smallest minute thing in the world other than quantum. So my thing is, all that time they mispronounced my name and I became the second fastest hurdler in the nation. I didn't let it bother me. If I was her, I'd be like, they keep saying my name wrong. And they keep saying, and I just don't want, they're racist. They're racist. Jesus, shut up and rise above. Like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Because if not, you're going to spend your whole life whining about what somebody did to you. I came on here today and somebody mispronounced my name. I didn't correct them. My name is difficult. That's why I said, I'm going to drop off and change it to One Country Cookie.
How you say your name? Because I know you're talking about me.
No, it's fine. I'm not tripping though. But it's Zamayel. It's 3 syllables. But I don't care. That kind of stuff don't bother me. But I also grew up in a household where I was raised to be confident and to like myself. I don't understand this. Wham. Call the ambulance. Damn.
So I just think
You said
when we're
cry me a
talking,
river, huh?
I just think that when we're talking about these things again, I think people can be heavy-handed, very dismissive in their tone when they're talking about these type of things, and I think um it's just mean-spirited. Now I'm an older millennial, so when I was growing up, it was the wild wild west in these streets. But at the same time, I would never sit here and be dismissive of how somebody is experiencing something. If it's affecting them, it's not an insecurity. And microaggressions easily slip into macroaggressions, easily. It starts off as a microaggression. It starts off as something very subtle, very subtle. I'm gonna mispronounce your name. I'm a snicker about you. And when you continue to allow the disrespect, it just builds and builds and builds and builds. And me personally, I like to just go ahead and nip that shit in the bud. I'm sure every single major aggression against a marginalized person started off with a microaggression. It always starts off very subtle. Even like how we're seeing just the people that are coming out in droves and screaming at the top of their lungs about making America great again. That, to me, how, you know, I still can't wrap my brain around how a Black person can feel good about that, because when was America great for us? But I just really feel as though people are emboldened now in their hate. And at some point, you have to call it out. And as far as it being on a computer screen, I don't care. Once you in the public and it could be seen, it could be called out.
So I like how we
believe-
all about microaggression when it comes to this little girl and all that, but most of y'all sisters do it to y'all brothers all the time on a regular basis. Matter of fact, we got one up here right now who was microaggressive towards me when she was up here before. But now she's preaching about microaggression and how we should protect these people. I find that real amusing. No, I'm not. I didn't.
On racism.
Your time
Please.
will come, man. Your time will come. Microaggressive aggression. That's what y'all was talking about. Y'all was accusing that girl of that, right? That's what you was accusing that girl of being. So when we do it to our own people, it's okay. But when them white folks do it to you, it ain't fun. It ain't cool. See, that's that part of that Black Lives Matter shit. Be cool when white cops beat up on us, your men that y'all really give a fuck about. Yeah, y'all cool with that shit. Y'all say some shit on that. Y'all fight, riot, protest, do all that shit. But when you black motherfuckers kill us other black people, we ain't got shit to say. When y'all call each other goddamn N-word, we ain't got shit to say. You don't think that's microaggressive? When y'all call each other bitches, y'all ain't got shit to say. What the fuck is that shit? It's the same goddamn thing. But y'all ain't got nothing to say on that because it's us hurting us. But when it's them opposites, now we got everything to say. Now we ready to tear this roof off this motherfucker. That makes no sense to me.